This morning I've arrived in Llandogo, a small village between Chepstow and Monmouth in the lower reaches of the Wye Valley area of outstanding natural beauty, 2 miles north of Tynton. It is set on a steep hillside overlooking the River Wye. Llandogo was a port, famous at one time for the building of the trow, a flat-bottom riverboat that until the 19th century was used for trading up and down the River Wye. Brown's Stores has been the village's only general goods stores since the early 1920s, and is still to this day run by the family. The family itself have lived in the village for generations. The Sloop Inn is the village's only public house, and its name comes from the sloops that traded up and down the Wye and across the Bristol Channel, being larger than the trows. The village hall, the Millennium Hall, was opened in 2003 by the Princess Royal. Events are organised by the local community. The name Llandogo originates from St. Eudocius, the 3rd Bishop of Llandaff, who probably lived in the area in the 6th or 7th century. The parish church was built in 1859 to 1861 and is dedicated to St. Eudocius. Designed by the church architect John Pollard Seddon, the church has an outstanding painted interior. It is an active parish church and a Grade II listed building. There are many local walks around Llandogo and along the riverbank. The Wye Valley Walk runs along the top of the village, and Offersdyke Path is just across the river. The village is designated as a conservation area. Llandogo was a village that I tended to pass through more often than I actually stopped to visit, but I think it's a really beautiful place. And I do have a family connection, actually. My great-grandmother was from Llandogo, and she's buried in the churchyard here. I've just been to see her grave, actually. She died at the grand age of 91 in 1984. There were some cousins that I had living here as well, so I don't know whether they're still in the area or what, but I can only vaguely remember meeting them actually once, many, many years ago. So anyway, today I'm going to do a walk which takes me up into the hills behind me. Heading to the southern end of the village, I took a path leading off the A466 next to a white house. This was the beginning of a long climb involving many steps, but the higher I climbed, the more impressive the views. The climb was quite hard going, as aside from being long and steep, it was also extremely muddy and slippery. However, I finally reached the top as I arrived at a junction of paths through which I had walked many years earlier. Boy, am I glad that climb is over and done with. Anyway, I'm near the top of Gleddon Falls, and I'm on the Wye Valley Walk, another of the long-distance footpaths that I was familiar with when I grew up in Chepstow. And this particular stretch I've not done for about 24 years, and that time was with a friend of mine. But that's another story. But I'm not going to do the Wye Valley walk today. I'm just going to go this way a little way. Crossing the Wye Valley walk, I headed west for a short distance. As I walked along the quiet lane, I could see Cleddon Hall. This was the birthplace of philosopher and mathematician Bertrand Russell in 1872. It was then called Ravenscroft and was the country home of Russell's parents, Lord and Lady Amberley. Cleddon Hall is a private house, not open to the public. I just got talking to a lady walking her dogs. She lives in Llandogo, and I happened to mention that I had family in the village, and she knew some of them, which was really nice. My great-grandmother's son passed away some years ago, but his wife now lives in Monmouth. Their two sons, who were probably just a little bit older than me, don't know where they are, but she wasn't familiar with them when I mentioned the names. But it was nice to know that there are people here that know my family. Wonder if I'll ever catch up with them one day. I walked back along the lane into the hamlet of Cleddon, where I came to something truly spectacular. One of the highlights of today's walk, Gleddon Falls. These waterfalls come and go, depending on the weather. There's not a lot of water during the dry spells, but after recent rainfall, I have without a doubt picked a very good day to visit. I took the path which zigzagged its way down steeply through the woods, parallel to Gleddon Falls. Eventually, I crossed over Cleddon Chutes, the steeply descending stream below the falls. Soon afterwards, the path joined a lane leading me back into Llandogo. Well, that was Llandogo and Gleddon Falls. Absolutely wonderful. Time to move on now. I followed the lane signposted to Trellech, which gradually climbed out of Llandogo to eventually reach a very special wood I had known from childhood. I had to come this way en route to my next destination, so I just thought I'd stop here briefly, as this place has always had a special place in my heart. This is Whitestone in Bargain Wood. That was really nice. I don't know what it is about Bargain Wood, it's just really atmospheric and mysterious woodlands. Always loved coming through here when I was a kid. Well, as I say, it's only a brief stop, so onwards I go. Well, I'm almost at the end of my day's walk now, but just before I arrive at my final destination, I'm just going to take a look at the Virtuous Well. Sometimes known as St. Anne's Well, this circular well, surrounded by a stone wall and seating, is located in a field east of Trellech. Local tradition is that it is the only one remaining of originally 9 holy wells in the village. In the 17th century, it was apparently regularly visited and believed to cure the scurvy, colic and other distempers. Virtuous Well is a clooty well, where token offerings are placed around and within the well, and strips of cloth and ribbons are hung from neighbouring trees. It is also used as a wishing well. Well, this pretty village behind me is where I'm finishing today's walk. This is Trellech. Trellech lies 5 miles south of Monmouth on a plateau above the Wye and Usk valleys. The name of the village is of Welsh origin and means the town of slates. Although a relatively small village in modern times, it was one of the largest towns in Wales in the 13th century and is now the location of archaeological investigations to find out its extent and role at that time. Located beside the B4293 is the 11-foot-high cedar sculpture created by Neil Gow. On top is a sundial matching the one to be found inside Trellech Church. The front indicates the time from 6 AM to 6 PM, the back the time from 6 PM to 6 AM. The main sculpture carries a map and carvings of the Virtuous Well, Harold Stones and Tump Terret. To the southwest of the village are Harold Stones, 3 large standing stones in a 12-metre alignment, all leaning at angles. It is unlikely that this is deliberate, but more likely to have been caused by being poorly erected or land subsidence. The heights of the stones vary. The tallest, and also the one with the most pronounced lean, is over 4 metres in length, while the other 2 measure around 3.5 metres and 3 metres each. What the original purpose or symbolism of the stones was is unknown, but it could be that they formed part of a much larger ritual area that has either been destroyed or yet remains to be recognised. The stones, of course, have legends attached to them. One says that they landed here after a throwing competition between the devil and the giant Jack O'Kent. Another says that their name commemorates a battle won by King Harold. From the stones, I walked back into Trellech, which is designated as a conservation area. The village gives its name to the community of Trellech United, in which it is located. There are historically 26 known spellings of the village name, On each of the 3 roads entering the village, signs give a different spelling. Within the grounds of Court Farm is Tump Terret. It dates back to Norman times as the site of the small Motte and Bailey castle. Traces of its surrounding ditch remain. The castle was still present in 1263 when it was mentioned in manorial documents. A local myth commemorated on the sundial was that it was a burial mound for those killed in actions between the forces of Harold Godwinson and the opposing Welsh. A now vanished summer house was built by the Rumsey family on top of the mound. Standing in the middle of the village, next to Tump Terret, St Nicholas Church can be seen clearly from all around. It is a parish church with its origins in the 14th century. The historical and architectural evidence suggests that it was constructed largely in a single building period around 1300. The style is decorated Gothic. The church was extended and repaired in the 18th century, and underwent 2 major reconstructions in 1893 and 1992. An exceptionally fine and well-preserved medieval church, it is a Grade 1 listed building. It remains an active parish church in the parish of Trellech and Penult. Beside the church is Trellech's only pub, the Lion Inn. Built in the late 16th century, it was originally a coaching inn, brewhouse and pig farm. Many of the original features of the brewing cellar still remain, as do a number of outhouses that were used as pigsties. It's lovely being back in Trellech again after all these years. Well, I'm going to finish my day with a quick half in the Lion Inn behind me. So, another great day in the Wye Valley. Where next, I wonder?